The true next-gen XR glasses from VITURE are finally here. I won't beat around the bush. They weren't the first, X-Rail was. Maybe you'll remember Linus showcasing the tech for Jimmy Fallon and Bad Bunny earlier this year.
Oh my gosh!
What I'm saying is VITURE is now cut up, and with it comes matching features to their competition, but also with the best unfair advantages over them. The best software integration and a stronger accessory line to match your host devices. They also have the only gamepad on the entire market to allow XR video out pass-through port on the controller. Sorry iPhone users, that is for Android only. With the gap now closed, it is a bigger deal than them finally releasing their next gen. It's also a far more fully fledged ecosystem for enthusiasts and newcomers alike. In this video, I'll address both of these potential customers, so whether you already own VITURE or you're interested in owning a pair of XR glasses, I'll make sure everyone gets something out of this video. So let's not waste a second more. In the most layman term possible, XR glasses are the equivalent of having a TV strapped to your face that connects to USB-C video out devices. That includes USB-C iPhones, most Androids, PC handhelds, and many retro handhelds. That can even mean the Switch 1 or Switch 2 as they push video through USB-C, but Nintendo does limit that feature under certain conditions to be met, hence why a specific extra accessory is required. More on that later. The Beast comes in at $550 USD and wraps up their active lines of products, preceded by the Luma Pro, Luma Ultra, both which I reviewed on the channel, and the Luma, their more entry-line solution. In case you're wondering what each models have, here's a quick comprehensive slide breaking it down. Moving on, we'll glance over the features that makes a comeback, those missing on the Beast, and lastly, the features that makes this specific model next gen over other products on their Luma lineup. Oh, and before diving deeper, VITURE did send the unit for review. Thank you, VITURE, but of course, they have no say in my opinions, nor did they pay me, but I do get to keep this simple. So what makes a comeback? Resolution up to 1200p, frame rate with an asterisk, electrochromic dimming, that feature that lets you change how much shade the glasses have, excellent audio, your cable, a carry case, a cloth, and various nose pads. So far so good. So what's missing from the Beast versus most, to not say every VITURE XR glasses? Not a whole lot, but arguably two that are important, starting with the magnetic connector, and that's one some people may not care about, and I'll be honest, I thought I was going to. You see, every other XR glasses I ever used, from Rokid, X-Rail, Raineo, etc., the cable often makes it harder to keep the glasses still on my head as it's pulling the weight down at a shifting point. The magnetic connector from VITURE always did a fantastic job at shifting the weight off to the side as opposed to the back. I had concerns the Beast would suffer from the same issue, but they have been quite stable despite using an angled cable. So while it's missing, it won't make the cons list like I originally thought it would. The second feature, and the biggest one by far, is the diopter dials to help mitigate myopia issues, as opposed to wearing glasses or prescription lenses. In fact, in expectation of reviewing the Beast, I took it upon me to do an eye exam and I had very little strength required. VITURE offered to send prescription lenses attachment so I could tell you about it, and indeed, it's very easy to install or remove them. And I guess my eye examiner did a great job because though I can use the glasses very well without them, I do have a slightly improved experience when wearing them. I should point out that in the box, you'll have a demo pair that do not have strength, which I think anyone should install anyway, because that could also serve as a protection for your eye box and the glasses themselves. So when talking about what makes their latest release stand out from any other XR glasses from VITURE to date, as well, two features, starting with FOV, and comes the time to address those who expect XR to feel like VR. It's not comparable. They are effectively two different types of products, even if some specific applications make them somewhat meet in the middle. The biggest difference is often FOV. In comparison, a VR headset will make you feel like you are surrounded in whatever you're viewing. Maybe not literally, but in practice at least. XR is more like looking through a window, meaning that your peripheral vision occupies a large space, and that is due to FOV, aka field of view. That said, the Beast is one of only 2 XR glasses on the market to have as large a FOV as they do. The X-Real 1 Pro have up to 57 degrees, whereas the Beast have 58 degrees. That +1 is not enough to make a difference, but versus the Pro XR or Luma models, it is substantial, but I'd argue the benefit is not necessarily in having more screen estate, but rather having a greater control over it. To make my point, we need to jump to the second next-gen leap of this product, which is built-in 3D OF, what they proprietary call VisionPair. But if you're familiar with the term, it's essentially visual anchoring. What does this mean? Well, the Beast enables you to lock your screen in space, meaning that if you have your screen in front of you and you turn your head all the way to the left or all the way to the right, you'll have your screen remain locked right down the middle. That's a big deal, especially for those who get nauseated in XR, AR, or VR. Before we continue on anchoring, let me wrap up the first benefit and tie with the second. Having the large FOV is amazing, but much like every other XR glasses, some people might experience blurry edges, and I don't have a reason to believe the Beasts are any different. But having a larger FOV means having a bigger screen in the glasses. Because these have full built-in software, you can also do some other cool stuff such as increasing or decreasing the size of your screen. This effectively allows you to have a screen about as big as the Luma Pro and Luma Ultra, but with absolutely no chance whatsoever of having blurry edges. That's a pretty big deal for the right consumer, but also for people looking into XR specifically for productivity. For gaming, I think the blurry edges disappear shortly after using them. For productivity, however, where your eyes are likelier to scan left and right, up and down, I totally understand why this feature is a pretty major one. And while we're on topic, let's cover the onboard software that's far more complex than the typical brightness, volume, and color adjustments, which, by the way, all those features are present here. More so, the first boot greets you with a quick tutorial of all the different button uses. Talking about, the Beast does have more buttons than its predecessor and follows a more symmetrical design between the left and right arm. The 3D side-by-side mode is still present, and this time around the electrochromic dimming has more range than usual, and the glasses will also employ a smart feature during anchoring mode where it'll dim automatically if not looking straight at the screen. You also have a full-fledged menu where you can make adjustments, some pointed out to come out at a later time. For example, is the side mode, which I believe will keep your viewing to a corner of your view.
As I was filming some B-roll, turns out that VITURE released an update for the side mode, so let's have a look. Yeah, just minimizes it to the corner of your view, either left or right. So they're definitely updating these. This is a good thing.
Another feature implying that the Beast still needs a bit of time to cook will be the refresh rate, touted as also coming soon. So as of right now, the glasses only support 60 Hz. For a gamer that doesn't want to wait, this can be a big deal, but make no mistakes, the 120 Hz will be made available in a future update. Thankfully, it's still OLED, it still has record-shattering brightness and pretty convincing audio. So with this deep dive breakdown now behind us, let's get more serious into why I'm reviewing these in the first place: gaming. Starting with a handheld PC, and indeed, the Beast is as amazing as other XR glasses, but now paired with features such as anchoring or adjusting the screen size. It's awesome to say the least, and without a doubt, better than previous offerings. Whether you're laying in bed or sitting on the couch, using the Switch 2 or their companion controllers, or else, is easy to see why this is a phenomenal solution, especially for gamers and with the ability to address nausea for some or blurry edges for others. This feels like this generational leap many have been asking for. One thing I can't report on is versus the X-Real 1 and 1 Pro, because I ultimately returned the pair of ones I had and never bought the 1 Pros. My main reason for returning the X-Real 1 back then was when using the anchoring mode or the follow mode, which we have not talked about yet, you could tell there was post-processing of the image and it was jarring to say the least. While I wasn't able to get updated feedback on that, I know that X-Real also has a direct mode, as do VITURE with the Beast, but I wouldn't be surprised if that is exactly why VITURE does not currently offer 120 Hz. The post-processing required to anchor 120 Hz in space is probably quite demanding, and the software probably needs to be ironed out. My favorite use case is definitely with the Switch 2 or the Go. Of course, the Switch 1 and Switch 2 requires the Pro Mobile Dock, a worthy addition to use Nintendo's consoles with these, and it sucks that Nintendo doesn't let video out through the port alone, because man, does this combination feel like a match made in heaven. Of course, with the Joy-Cons being detachable, it makes so much sense. Truly a second to none type of experience. And seeing as the screen on the Switch 2 can sometimes feel lacking, the OLED panels found in the Beast are phenomenal and cutting edge, which definitely enhances the Switch 2. However, there is one specific game that has a specific issue with this combo, Pro Mobile Dock and Switch 2 that is, and it is Metroid Prime 4. I'm not sure if the issue stems from the Switch 2 pushing 1080p at 120 FPS, something that the Pro Mobile Dock was not originally built for, or if it's because the Switch 2 is pulling too much power than the dock can deliver. But when playing Metroid Prime 4, the game runs at 50% speed. And just for the record, this is not specific to using the Beast. This behavior is consistent even when using non-VITURE XR glasses with the Pro Mobile Dock. Every other game I tested worked perfectly fine. One area where VITURE deserves the praise. They have come a long way, and nothing has felt as compelling as the Beast when it comes to drift. And yes, that includes versus the Luma Ultra. While the Luma Ultra has 2 dedicated cameras to reduce drift, the onboard computing chip in the Beast seems to be what it needed to be able to translate the gyro data more effectively. I wouldn't say it's eliminated completely, but I haven't noticed it at all during long time uses. Alright, let's wrap things up. The first question is, are the Beast worth it? Absolutely. They are not perfect, nor are any other XR products on the market, but effectively, VITURE's latest glasses closes any gap with everybody in the market, and it enables users to tap into their unfair advantages, such as their accessory line and superior software. The quality of the glasses themselves also feel quite good, and though they may not be as stylish as the Luma Pro and Luma Ultra, it does seem to bode well in terms of the body not exhibiting the issues that previous models have suffered from due to having translucent plastic. The visuals, brightness, audio, and overall features set is check, check, and check. Nothing but great to amazing. That's not to say they don't have a couple disappointments. If you need glasses, you'll need a prescription lens attachment, but thankfully VITURE are reasonable with offering options that can be ordered directly from their website for as low as 80 USD. And if you grab one, I also suggest you get their lens shade, which will not only protect your glasses, but will also do a better job at blocking light. Here's a con. The Beast, much like the Luma versus the Pro XR, have reduced electrochromic dimming light blockage. On the Pro XR, the add-on shield was almost useless. On the Lumas and Beast, I'd say it is a necessary accessory if you wish to get closer to 100% light blockage. It has me believe that this is a necessary sacrifice from the updated optics to create a larger FOV. I also have 2 more things to note. XR glasses magnify super small pixels to make them look like they are super huge screens, and when it comes to the models that have the highest FOV, there is a rather super duper small trade-off for the trained eye, which is that you'll see a little bit of chromatic aberration on high contrast areas. It's quite faint, and I strongly believe most people wouldn't see it, or at least won't be bothered by it. It still is in the interest of transparency that I present my findings as they were. And also, it is common that optics in XR glasses cause some type of distortion when a reflection shines in, and the Beasts have that, but it's almost a neat thing. So imagine, okay, looking at a huge screen right over a super still body of water, or the shiny most black floor in a pitch black room. You'll see an upside down reflection that's distorted from the water or the shiny floor, right? Well, in the right angle, You kind of see that in the Beast too. It's easy to forget, it's not distracting at all, but again, my job is to report those findings, and that is not an illusion. You can see it, or at least I can, and better yet, I can show you. And a last thing to also note, which makes it 3. I guess I lied, my bad. This is a bit of a spicier take, but I think for the sake of being able to say they have 1 degree more than X-Real, VITURE may have pushed their optics a little closer to the panels than they potentially should have. And again, I can show you, which is only achievable in the direct mode. If you look at the Kirby icon to the far left, you'll notice the left eye sees a little less than the right eye. Focus specifically on the letters, it'll be obvious. Guys, I'm achieving world-class nitpicking at this moment. I do not care in the slightest for those 3 things I pointed out, but I truly think most early reviews could not pick up on those nuances because they're so subtle. So I feel like I have a duty to give you all the information, but at the same time, they are so benign. I do think this will be blown out of proportion in the comments. Just know that if you intend to use the Beast in Anchor or Follow mode, this nitpick I just mentioned will literally be non-existent. All in all, I think VITURE's solution is amazing, but in many ways, XR glasses are also going through a price increase when you think of accessories that are needed to close the gap with some of the features of previous options. Accessories like prescription lenses and shades are a must, bringing the total to 650 USD. 650 USD is exactly what you would pay for a pair of X-Real 1 Pros, their closest competitors. But in doing so, you won't have prescription lenses, nor will you have the shades. So if you were to ask me, until Project Aura shows its teeth, VITURE's The Beast XR solution is currently the best the market has to offer. That is assuming that we'll be getting that 120Hz in side mode update soon enough, but seeing as those features are literally listed in the specs, I suspect they're not that far off. I want to thank VITURE one last time for sending these in, but more importantly, I want to thank you for watching up to this point. Thank you very much. Maybe you have questions on the Beast or other XR glasses, make sure to drop those in the comments down below. Consider hitting the like if you enjoyed this content, and to subscribe with the bell to not miss any future ones. My name is Clef, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace!